press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, I am Saida Reshma. I am going to start the chapter number 9, hydrogen. So it carries 4 marks for your theory exam and it's also important for your competitive exams. Okay, so here this hydrogen, as you know, is the first element which is present in the periodic table. As you all know that the elements in the periodic table are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic number. So as this hydrogen, it is having atomic number of 1. So it is the first element in the periodic table. And then this hydrogen, it does not exist in the free state in the nature because it is highly unstable. So it does not occur in the free state. Or you know the meaning of free state. So that means to say hydrogen, it does not exist in the form of H. Always it exists in the form of H2, that is nothing but the dihydrogen, or it combines with other elements like, say for example, with oxygen it may form water, with carbon it may form methane. Like that you can have many compounds of hydrogen because hydrogen is highly unstable. If you look at the electronic configuration of hydrogen, it is 1s1. You can see here it has only one electron in the valence s subshell. So it is highly unstable and does not exist in the free state, always exists in the combined state with other elements. So and this hydrogen, it is if you see it is placed in the first in the periodic table. So it got the name as protium. Hydrogen is also called as protium, that is the first element, like that. And then if you take the hydrogen, it is similar in its properties with both alkali metals as well as the halogens. So you know about alkali metals. What are alkali metals? Alkali metals are the elements which belong to the first group in the periodic table. So let us discuss. So what are the similarities? Of hydrogen with these alkali metals? What are the similarities of hydrogen with alkali metals? Okay, so here if you discuss, the first one is nothing but its electronic configuration. What is the first similarity of hydrogen with the alkali metals is its electronic configuration. So you know that the valence shell electronic configuration of alkali metals is 1s, that is ns1. If you take the first one, lithium, atomic number is 3, so electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s1. Likewise, next element, sodium, its atomic number is 11. If you write the electronic configuration, it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. So likewise, our hydrogen, which is having the electronic configuration of 1s1. How hydrogen resembles or similar to alkali metals means both of them are having one electron in their valence shell. So show hydrogen is placed in the first group of the periodic table. Likewise, if you move on to the second point, that is nothing but the electropositive nature. So you know that alkali metals are electropositive in nature. That means they have the tendency to lose one electron or the tendency to donate electron. Okay, so if you look at this one, Li can easily form Li plus. Li, that is lithium, can easily lose one electron to form the lithium ion. You know that whenever an atom loses electron, it will become a cation, thereby it will get a positive charge. Likewise, if sodium loses one electron, it will become Na plus. Likewise, hydrogen also loses one electron to become H plus. By the loss of one electron, that is having only one electron, and when it loses one electron, it will become the H plus, that is nothing but the proton. We call that one as proton. Okay, so this is the one more similarity, that is like alkali metals, hydrogen also have the tendency to lose the electron. That is what we call as electropositive character, or you can say the electropositive nature. So next point is that reactivity with electronegative element. Reactivity with electronegative elements. Okay, so you know that alkali metals are highly reactive because of their low ionization enthalpy. Okay, so what they will do? So they will react with the electronegative elements. If I take the example of sodium, okay, it will react with chlorine to form sodium chloride. That is the electronegative element. Chlorine is electronegative. Similarly, it may react with sulfur, that is also electronegative. What it will form? Sodium sulfide. Similarly, it may react with the oxygen to form sodium oxide. Sodium oxide. So these Cl, S and O all are electronegative atoms, or you can say the electronegative element. So likewise, our hydrogen also combine with the electronegative elements to form hydrogen chloride. Similarly, it will combine with the sulfur to form hydrogen sulfide. Likewise, it may combine with the oxygen to form water. So this is one more property which shows that hydrogen is very much similar to the alkali metal in its properties. Okay, so next property what we can discuss here, or you can say what is the next similarity of hydrogen with the alkali metals. So that is its valency or oxidation state. Valency, or you can say that one as oxidation state. Valency or oxidation state. Okay, now so hydrogen, so it exists or it exhibit a oxidation state of +1. What is the oxidation state of hydrogen? It is +1. What about the alkali metals? That is whatever example you can take, alkali metals, they exhibit the oxidation state of +1. So this is the one more capacity of this hydrogen which shows that it is very much similar to the alkali metals in its properties. Okay, so both have the valence, or you can say oxidation state of +1. So likewise, one more property we can discuss that is very important here. What is that? So liberation at cathode. Liberation at cathode. Okay, so if you take a molten solution of this alkali metals, that is nothing but sodium chloride. So if you subject it for electrolysis, it will dissociate to form Na plus and Cl minus. So if you look at this Na plus, where it will go when if you subject for it for electrolysis? What is electrolysis? So whenever an electric current is passed through the aqueous solution of the salt, then it dissociate, or you can say it will get electrolyzed to form a positive ions and negative ions. So the positive ions will move towards the negative electrode, and the negative ions will go towards the positive electrodes. Isn't it? And they will lose their charge and get deposited. So that is the concept. So now this sodium chloride, so here this Na plus will move towards the what we can call that one as it is positively charged. It will move towards cathode. Why? Because cathode is negatively charged. Okay, so similarly, if you take hydrogen chloride, HCl, that is nothing but the salt, or you can say the compound which is having the hydrogen. So if it subjected for electrolysis, it will form H plus and then Cl minus. Where this H plus will go, it will also go towards the cathode. So here both the cases you can see that, so both the alkali metal ions as well as the hydrogen ion will move towards the cathode. That is the one more similarity of hydrogen with the alkali metals. So are you getting? Yes now. So let us move on to the one more important property of these hydrogen which shows resemblance with the alkali metals is its reducing property, or you can say its reducing nature. So alkali metals are very good reducing agents. That means to say, so they will extract the oxygen from the compounds and make them to get reduced. Okay, so reducing agent is one, it will get oxidize itself and reduces others. Reduces others means it will remove the oxygen from them. Okay now, so I will give you the example of, say you can have the example of boron trioxide, that is nothing but B2O3. If you make to react with the potassium, which is one alkali metal, it will form 2B. So this boron oxide is reduced to boron, that is the non-metal boron, and then what about this potassium? It will get oxidized. That is called as reducing agent. It reduces others and get oxidized itself. So then what it will become? It will become 3K2O3. Or you can have this one. So we can convert this one, 3K2O will become 3K2O. Okay, is it balanced? See here, 3 2s are 6, O3 means 3O. Okay, so here you can see that potassium, which is one alkali metal, what happens to this? It reduces boron oxide to boron. That means to say it is extracting oxygen from this oxide and it will get oxidized to potassium oxide, that is nothing but K2O. Okay now, so now similarly our what hydrogen, it reduces ferric oxide Fe3O4 to 4H2, that is nothing but the hydrogen to ferric ions. Iron, it reduces ferric oxide to iron, plus what happens to this? It will become water, 4H2O. This is the one more similarity. Same work is done by our hydrogen also. It extracts oxygen from this compound. Here it is extracting oxygen from this compound. What do you call for this property? This property is called as the reducing nature of that both hydrogen as well as the alkali metals. Alkali metals are very good oxidizing agent. You should know that lithium is the strong oxidizing agent in the periodic classification of elements. You already done with. So what is that? Alkali metals are very good oxidizing agent. Out of those, lithium is the strong oxidizing agent. The similar property is shown by our hydrogen. So that's why we can say that hydrogen show similarity with the alkali metals. Right? So what it is doing? What is an reducing nature means? What is a reducing agent? It oxidizes itself and reduces others. What is the meaning of reduces others? Remove the oxygen from them. Okay na? So these are the some of the properties which shows that, so what is that? Hydrogen is very much similar to alkali metals, and that's why it should be placed in the first group of the periodic table. Just I will summarize. So what is that? What are the similarities? Its electronic configuration. So it is showing the electronic configuration of 1s1, where you can see the alkali metals, they are also having the similar valence shell configuration that of the hydrogen. The next point is electropositive nature. What is the meaning of this? So alkali metals have the tendency to lose the electron to become monopositive ions. Likewise, our hydrogen atom also having the tendency to lose its valence electron to become the proton, that is nothing but H plus ion. Okay. Likewise, we can have reactivity with electronegative elements, where we can see that like the alkali metals, hydrogen also combine with the electronegative elements to form the respective compounds. And one more thing you can see here, valence or oxidation state of both alkali metals as well as is hydrogen is +1. Likewise, liberation at cathode. So, the salts of both the hydrogen as well as the alkali metals, so when they are electrolyzed, the positively charged ions are liberated at the cathode because cathode is negatively charged. Likewise, if you move on to the next property, that is the reducing nature. Alkali metals are good reducing agents. One example we have taken with reference to potassium. Likewise, here our hydrogen also reduces this oxide of iron to iron and it itself get oxidized to water. Okay, so these are the similarities. So next, if you move on to these are the similarities, but we can see that along with the similarities, hydrogen is also showing the dissimilarities with the alkali metals. Dissimilarities with the alkali metals. So what are those dissimilarities? Let us discuss now. What are the dissimilarities of hydrogen with these alkali metals? Okay. Dissimilarities. Of hydrogen with alkali metals. Okay, the first one is nothing but the first and very important dissimilarity is that, so you know that alkali metals in the name itself are what? They are typical metals. But if you take the hydrogen, it is a typical non-metal. It is a typical non-metal. Right? This is the first difference what we can quote with hydrogen. So, hydrogen is a non-metal whereas the alkali metals are metals. Next, if you move on to the next dissimilarity is that, so alkali metals are okay, monoatomic in nature. Okay na? So what is that monoatomic in nature means? So I can write sodium. How you are going to represent? Na, lithium, Li, okay, potassium, K, etc. But hydrogen is diatomic. It exists in the form of a diatomic state, that is nothing but H2. How you are going to represent hydrogen? H2. Nowhere in the atmosphere or in the nature you can see hydrogen as H. It exists always in the what? Combined state, or you can say elemental state. Why? Because this is the highly unstable state. So that's why what we can say, this is the alkali metals are monoatomic in nature whereas hydrogen is diatomic in nature. So one more difference we can note down here. So alkali metals, I just say alkali metals as Am, okay, understood. So alkali metals possess low ionization enthalpy. What is that ionization enthalpy? The amount of energy required to remove the electron from the outermost shell of an isolated gaseous atom. Right? So that energy is very low. Why they are having low ionization enthalpy? Because of their larger sizes. We can easily remove the electron from their valence shell. Right? So here alkali metals have low ionization energy, or you can say that one has low ionization enthalpy. But if you take the hydrogen, it is having high ionization enthalpy. It is having very high ionization enthalpy because of its half-filled s orbital. You know about that. Half-filled orbital possess high ionization enthalpy. Or you can say this hydrogen molecule, to remove the electron from this one, we are in need of more energy because the hydrogen bond between these two atoms is very, very strong. So you require more energy to break that bond. So that's why the release of electron is difficult in case of this. That's why its ionization enthalpy is more. What we can say, hydrogen is having high ionization enthalpy. Right. So one more important point, or you can say the difference you can note down here is that So the compounds of alkali metals, are ionic in nature. Compounds of what? Alkali metals are ionic in nature. You can have the example of NaCl, simple example, that is nothing but the common salt. How it is formed? This sodium will lose one electron and chlorine will get an electron. What type of bond exists between this sodium and chlorine? That bond is nothing but the ionic bond. Okay na? So that's why, so Na plus Cl minus. How you are going to represent? Na plus Cl minus. Similarly, K plus Cl minus. Likewise, any salt of these alkali metals, if you write, they are ionic in nature. But if you take the compounds of hydrogen, they are covalent in nature. That is the one more difference between what? Alkali metals and the hydrogen. So compounds of alkali metals are ionic in nature, compounds of hydrogen are covalent in nature. What is the meaning of covalent in nature? So if you take example of HCl, or you can have the example of H2O, how it is this HCl is formed? So you know about the hydrogen, its electronic configuration is 1s1, and you know about chlorine, its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. You should recall the electronic configuration while I am writing, right? You already learned this one in the classification of elements as well as the structure of atom, right? So its atomic number is 17, so the electronic configuration is this one. To become stable, it is in need of one electron because 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 plus 1 is 8. To become stable, it should be in need of one electron, 1s2, to become 1s2. So that's why what they will do. So hydrogen will say, yes, chlorine, come and share the electron with me. Let us form a bond. So what type of bond is formed here? So that HCl, this bond is a covalent bond because it is formed by the mutual sharing of electron. What about this one? Here, one is losing the electron, one is gaining the electron. Right? It is not called as sharing. It is called as sharing. What do you call for that bond? That bond is a covalent bond, and the compound which possess covalent bond are called as the covalent compounds. They are formed in case of our hydrogen. That is the one more dissimilarities between the alkali metals and the hydrogen. Understood the concept? Just look at this one. So what are these? These are the points which shows that hydrogen is showing dissimilarity with the alkali metals. These are metals, it is non-metal. Alkali metals are monoatomic, hydrogen is diatomic in nature. Alkali metals possess low ionization enthalpy, whereas hydrogen possess high ionization enthalpy. And compounds of alkali metals are ionic in nature, whereas the compounds of hydrogen are what? Covalent in nature, since they are formed by the mutual sharing of electrons, right? So with that, so what we can conclude? So here hydrogen is showing both similarities as well as dissimilarity with the alkali metals, right? So let us move on to the next concept, where we can see that hydrogen is showing similarity with the halogens. You know about halogens? Yes, what are halogens? The 17th group elements. Yes, the 17th group elements are called halogens, right? 17th group elements are called halogens. What are those 17 group elements? They are fluorine, yes, chlorine, bromine, iodine. So these are called as the halogens. You have to remember the order, because in first PUC this order, or in PUC the order is very, very important. Depending upon this order, you can remember so many properties also. Always fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, right? So these are called as halogens. Hydrogen is showing similarity with the halogens also. Okay, so let us discuss. First I will discuss similarities. Similarities, here once again electronic configuration. The first point is electronic configuration. Like, so here you know about halogen atoms. What is the valence shell electronic configuration? Ns to Np5. NH2, NP5. So 5 plus 2 is how much? 7. They are in need of 1 electron to become octet and become stable. Likewise, what about our hydrogen? Its valential electronic configuration is 1s1. How many electron is in need of to become stable? 1 electron. It will become duplet. We should not say octet, it is duplet. Right? The most stable state of hydrogen. So, it is also in need of 1 electron to become stable. Here it is also stable. To become stable, it is in need of 1 electron. This is the similarity of hydrogen with the halogen with reference to electronic configuration. By looking at the electronic configuration, one can say that both hydrogen as well as halogen are in need of 1 electrons to become stable. Likewise, the second point is electronegative nature. Electronegative nature. They are discussed same points, electronic configuration, but I have shown the similarities here. Okay, so electronegative nature, what is the meaning of this? So here halogens can take 1 electron, or they have the tendency to accept 1 electron to become the anions, or you can say the negatively charged ions. Right? Alkali metals have the tendency to accept the electrons. So, to donate the electron to become positively charged. What about the halogens? They can have the tendency to accept the electron to become the negatively charged ions. So, likewise, hydrogen also can accept 1 electron to become negatively charged. What we can call this one as hydride. What we can say this one as hydride. This is chloride. Okay, it is chlorine, it is hydrogen. Okay, so this is the similarity of hydrogen with the halogens. Both are having the tendency to accept 1 electron to become the negatively charged. So next point is that the similarity of this hydrogen with the halogens is nothing but the ionization enthalpy. What is that next point? Ionization enthalpy. As I said earlier, so amount of energy required to remove the electron from the valence shell of an isolated gaseous atom. If you look at this ionization enthalpy, both of them are having comparable, almost same ionization enthalpy. Right? So I can give the values for that one. Say you can have an example of this ionization enthalpy. If you write hydrogen, fluorine and chlorine in an order, for hydrogen the ionization enthalpy is 1312. With that of fluorine, if you take, that is 1680, and similarly if you take about chlorine, it is 1255 kilojoules per mole. For all, it is the unit is same, kilojoules per mole, right? So almost comparable. Simply if you take alkali metals, they are in range of hundreds. You can have, say for example, for that of lithium 520, lithium 520 kilojoules per mole. Likewise, if you take sodium, it is around 490 kilojoules per mole. In terms of hundreds, there is a difference, right? So it is 1000, about 1000. It is in terms of hundreds. That's why that has became the differences between the alkali metals and the hydrogen. Here we are showing the similarity between the alkali metals and the hydrogen and the halogens. They are having comparable, almost similar ionization enthalpies. Okay, now because of their smaller sizes. Smaller the sizes, more will be the ionization enthalpy. You know this order, or you can say you know this variation. Bigger the size, lesser will be the ionization enthalpy. Smaller the size, more will be the ionization enthalpy. Okay, so likewise you can say one more important similarity between this hydrogen and halogens is that is the fourth one. That is nothing but nature of compounds. Nature of compounds. Nature of compounds. So both of them means here halogens and hydrogens. Hydrogen form, both forms covalent compounds. Both forms covalent compounds. Covalent compounds. What are those covalent compounds? I can write about, say for example, with reference to the halogens, CCl4, carbon tetrachloride. Likewise, we can have SiCl4, silicon tetrachloride. Silane also it is called as. Similarly, germanium tetrachloride, GeCl4. Likewise, our hydrogen can form, that is nothing but CH4, methane, right? It can form, what is that? SiH4, silicon tetrahydride. It can form SiH4. Similarly, it can form GeH4, germanium tetrahydride. So what it shows, both will form, which is covalent in nature. Similarly, these are all the compounds of hydrogen. These are the compounds of halogens. What halogen I have taken into example? Chlorine. Okay, it is forming what? Tetrachloride. Chlorine is forming compound with carbon, compound with silicon, compound with germanium. Likewise, our hydrogen is also forming the compound with carbon, silicon and then germanium. All are what? Covalent in nature. That is the one more similarity of what? Hydrogen with the halogen atoms. Likewise, you can know and you should know about this one, that is nothing but diatomic nature. Diatomic nature. Both hydrogen and halogen exist in diatomic state in nature. I already discussed this one. This was the similarity of hydrogen with the alkali metals. There what I have written? So, alkali metals are monoatomic, whereas hydrogen is diatomic. Here it is the similarity of hydrogen with the halogens. You can have, say for example, if you write halogens, how they will exist? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, like this you are going to represent the atomic state. Similarly, if you take hydrogen, how it exists? It exists in the form of H2. Right? It is the diatomic state of what? Hydrogen. So likewise, the last similarity of this hydrogen with the halogens is that liberation at anode. Liberation at anode. Okay, confuse ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಮಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ಕಲಿ ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸಿಮಿಲಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಲಿಬರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಥೋಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಲಿಬರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆನೋಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. Okay, very simple concept it is, not in all cases, in few cases. Say, if I take the example of hydrides, NaH, sodium hydride. So what? If you subject it for electrolysis, it will form Na plus and then H minus. Na plus and H minus. Like NaCl if I take, it will form Na plus and Cl minus. If I take NaCl as an electrolyte, it dissociates or it electrolytes to form Na plus and Cl minus. You know about the basic concepts of electrolysis. What is that? That oppositely charged ion will go towards the opposite electrodes. That means to say, the cation will go at what? Cathode, and anion will go at what is that? Anode, because anode is positively charged. Don't get confused with the terms once again. Cation, cathode, anion, anode, right? Cation means positive charge, cathode means negative charge, anions means negatively charged, anode means positively charged, right? So look at this one. What I written here? Liberation at anode. Anode is positively charged. So naturally hydrogen is negatively charged here. Hydride, H minus means hydride ion, right? Cl minus is chloride, negatively charged. Where they should go? They should go towards anode. This is one more similarity of hydrogen with the halogens. So all these points show that hydrogen is similar to the halogens in its electronic configuration by accepting one electron, and its electronegative character by accepting one electron. Both will become the negatively charged ions. Then both of them are having almost similar ionization enthalpy because of their smaller sizes, and then both of them will form the covalent compounds. I have given the examples here. Similarly, Both of them are what? Diatomic in nature. They exist in the form of diatoms in the nature. And the last one, liberation at anode, it is only with reference to the hydrides, not for all. Okay, so those. So then I can say, oh yes, hydrogen should belong to the 17th group because it is showing so many similarities with the what? Halogens. But it is not the case. Why? Because hydrogen is showing some differences also along with the similarities with the halogens. See, first I told about the similarities of the hydrogen with the alkali metals. Then I told about what? The dissimilarities. Likewise, I explained about the similarities of hydrogen with the halogens. Now I am telling about the differences, or you can say the dissimilarities of what? Halogens and hydrogen atom. So what are those dissimilarities? There are very few. Dissimilarities means the first one is nothing but halogens. How we are going to represent the halogens? X. They readily form chlorides, or you can say they readily form halides with any of the compound. Readily form what? Halides. This is how you can represent for halogens. This is nothing but halides. They can readily form with any of the compound, any of the element. But hydrogen forms hydride, that is H minus, only with the alkali metals and alkaline earth metals. You know this one. Alkali metals means first group elements. Alkaline earth metals means they are the second group elements. Only with these two it will form the hydrides. Just I will give one example for you. Sodium combined with the hydrogens to form sodium hydride, NaH. Just to balance 2, here I will represent 2. Sodium hydride it will take. This is the alkali metal. Or else I can have the example of magnesium combined with the hydrogen to form MgH2, magnesium hydride. As it is monovalent, we have to write 2. It is bivalent, no need to write 2 here. Is that clear? So that is, so here what is the meaning of this one? Here what is that? Halogen easily form halides, whereas hydrogen will form hydrides only with the alkali metals and alkaline earth metals. That is the first dissimilarity what you can show with reference to hydrogen and halogens. The second point or second dissimilarity is that. So what is that? So that is you can have this one. What is that? This is very important here. In the molecular form, no extra electrons, or you can say no unshared electrons, no unshared pair of electrons, or you can say pair of electrons, or you can say lone pair of electrons in case of hydrogen. But if you look at the halogens, like say if I take chlorine, there are unshared pair of electrons. What are those? Just I will write the structure. Hydrogen, how it will form? This is hydrogen molecules, means this one. It is 1s1, it is 1s1. How many electron it is having? 1. How many electron it is having? 1. Right? Both will share those electrons. Where they are present? They are present here in this bond. How this bond is formed? 1 electron from you, 1 electron from me. Mutual sharing of electrons. Is there any other electrons? No electrons. Right? What are the electrons present? They are involved in case of formation of bond. Right? So, but if you take the halogens, simple I will take chlorine. What is the electronic configuration? How to write the octet structure? Okay. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. Right? How many electrons? So, 5 plus 2, 7. Okay. 2, 4, 6 plus 1, 7. How this chlorine molecule, that is Cl2, it is with reference to H2. How this Cl2 is formed? This is one chlorine atom. While writing the Lewis dot structure, or you can say while showing the formation of bond, you have to consider only the valence shell electrons. Is that clear? So yes, 2, 4, 6 plus 1, 7. It is with reference to one chlorine atom. One more chlorine atom means 1, 2, 4, 6 plus 1, 7. It leads to the formation of this chlorine atom. Right, here you can see there are 3 unshared electrons, or you can say lone pair of electrons present on each chlorine atom. Is that clear? They are not present in case of hydrogen, but these are present in case of what? Halogen atoms. Likewise, any halogen you can have, they can show this type of the extra electrons which are present in the valence shell. Right? One electron has been involved in the formation of bond. The remaining electrons will be present in the valence shell. No such extra electrons are present in case of hydrogen. That makes hydrogen different from the halogen atoms. Understood this one? Shall I repeat here? So here, very simple concept it is. There are no unshared electrons. What is the meaning of shared and unshared? The electrons which are shared, which are involved in the formation of bond. Right? Is there any other electrons? No electrons. Only one electron, they are already involved in the formation of bond. But in case of halogens, one example I have taken, what is that? Chlorine. How the Cl2 molecule has been formed. The bond between 2 chlorine atoms. The formation of bond between the 2 chlorine atoms. Right? So, if you look at the electronic configuration of chlorine atom, how many electrons are there in the valence shell? 5 plus 2, 7. 7 electrons are there in the valence shell. Right? So, out of those 7, 1 electron from both the chlorine atoms are mutually shared, leads to the formation of a chlorine molecule, and remaining will be the unshared pair of electrons. Right. The last one dissimilarity is that, so that is nothing but oxides of halogens are acidic in nature. Acidic in nature. Example I can give Cl2O7. Cl2O7. Oxides of halogens are acidic in nature. And then if you take the oxides of hydrogen, you can have the example of oxides of hydrogen are neutral in nature. Neutral in nature. One example you can have H2O, water molecule is neutral in nature. It is not acidic, it is not basic. Right? So that means to say, so this is the one more dissimilarities between the halogens and the hydrogen. Just to summarize, so they can easily form halides, but hydrogen will not form hydrides. It will form hydrides only with the alkali metals as well as the alkaline earth metals. And then in the molecular form, or you can say in the elemental state, it has no unshared electrons. All the electrons are involved in the formation of bond. But in case of halogens, there are unshared electrons, right? Along with the bond electrons, there are non-bonded electrons also present in case of halogens. Likewise, the last one is that oxides of halogens are acidic in nature, whereas the oxides of hydrogen are neutral in nature. Example I have given already. Yes, from this what we can say, hydrogen is not similar to both alkali metals as well as the halogens. So, the question arises, where to place the hydrogen now, either in the alkali metals or in the halogens. So, that is why I think you already studied in the classification of elements that the position of hydrogen is controversial, or you can say improper. That has become the one of the limitation or demerit of modern periodic table. The first point you are going to say that one only, right? What is that? Position of hydrogen is improper because of this, because it is showing similarity with both alkali metals as well as the halogens. It is still a question mark. It is still a question mark. If you remove this question mark, definitely you are going to get a Nobel Prize. Right. So, yes. So, now after knowing this, that is the resemblance, or you can the similarity as well as dissimilarities of hydrogen with both alkali metals as well as halogen elements, or you can say halogen atoms. Let us move on to the next concept, that is the occurrence of hydrogen. So you should know that 70%, nearly 70% of universe comprises of hydrogen. 70% out of 100, 70% of universe comprises of what? Hydrogen. That may be in the stars, that may be in the planets, that may be in the celestial, any of the celestial object or celestial body you observe, the major component is what? Hydrogen. So that's why, what is the percentage of hydrogen in the universe? It is what? Hydrogen percentage is 70%. Okay, and then about nearly, or you can say on the earth surface or earth atmosphere, its concentration is very less. Its concentration is very less, or it is less abundance on the surface of the earth, because it does not exist in the form of H. Always exists in the form of H2. Only in some volcanoes it exists in the form of H on the surface of the earth. Okay, and then this hydrogen is a component of almost all the compounds. It is a component of almost all the compounds. Almost all the compounds. So what are those compounds? I can give so many. You can have the compounds which are present in case of an organism. That may be carbohydrates. That may be carbohydrates, proteins, fats. You can have the example of water. You can have the example of acids like H2SO4, HCl, acetic acid. So many examples you can have. Any of the compound you can look at. So you can see the presence of hydrogen in them. Yes, I agree that hydrogen is not exist in the form of H, but it present in the compound state along with the other elements, right? So you can have the example of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, water, acids, alkalis. Alkalis means bases, NaOH, any of the compound you can take, almost all of them comprises of what? Hydrogen, right? So that is, and this hydrogen, it has or it exists in the form of isotopes. Hydrogen exists in the form of isotopes. You know the meaning of isotopes. What are isotopes? Yes, correct. They are the atoms of same element. Atoms of same element. Yes, correct. Element with same atomic number, but different atomic mass number. So atomic number means that may be protons or electrons. Mass number means neutrons. Right, from this one, so you can have the definition of atoms of same element having same number of protons or electrons but different number of neutrons. Likewise also you can say, but the best definition is this one: atoms of same element with same atomic number but different atomic mass number. That is the definition for isotopes. So hydrogen also exists in the form of isotopes. There are 3 isotopes of hydrogen. Which are those? Let us discuss one by one. Okay, now the first one is isotopes of hydrogen we are discussing. The first one is protium, which is the first isotope of hydrogen. It is protium, represented by the symbol 1H1. Represented by the symbol 1H1. Yes, can you see this one? Protium 1H1. Likewise, deuterium. Deuterium represented as 1H2. Next, tritium. Tritium represented as 1H3. So, what is the definition of isotopes? Atoms of the same element having same atomic number. You know the representation ZXA, where Z atomic number, A atomic mass number, X is the respective element. X is the respective element. So, which element I have taken here? Hydrogen. Atoms of same element having same atomic number but different atomic mass number are called isotopes, and what I have written on the board, they are the isotopes of what? Hydrogen. What is that? Protium, deuterium, tritium. Right? So, here if you observe the that is a structure, or you can say the formula of protium. Okay, so 99.95% of hydrogen is nothing but the protium. Out of these three isotopes, 99.95% of hydrogen exists in the form of protium, that is nothing but 1H1, which is having how many electrons? 1 electron, 1 proton, how many neutrons? 0 neutrons. It has no neutrons. Very important point this is, that will be asked in MCQs. Name the isotope of hydrogen which is having 0 neutrons. Which is that? That is protium. Because if you look at, so from this one, this is Z. Z is equal to 1 means 1 proton, 1 electron. And how you are going to calculate the number of neutrons? A minus Z. What is A? A minus Z. 1 minus 1 will become 0. So the number of neutrons are 0. If you look at this one, deuterium, right, it is also represented as D, deuterium. D stands for deuterium, right. So here, how many protons? 1. How many electrons? 1. How many neutrons? 1, 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. Okay, 1 proton, 1 electron and 1 neutron in case of deuterium. It is also called as heavy hydrogen. Deuterium is also called as heavy hydrogen. I think you studied in your lower classes about the heavy water. Heavy water. What is the formula of that? That is D2O. Heavy water. Where it is used? It is used in case of nuclear power plants. It is used in case of nuclear power plants in the form of what? Coolant. In the form of coolant. That heavy water is a compound of our deuterium, that is one of the isotope of our hydrogen. Right? Understood? How many protons, how many neutrons and how many electrons are there in case of what? Deuterium. The last one is tritium. The last one is tritium. What is the representation? 1H3. How many protons? 1. How many electrons? 1. How many neutrons? 2 minus 1, sorry, 3 minus 1 is equal to 2. How many neutrons are present in case of tritium? 2 neutrons are present. No neutrons, 1 neutron, 2 neutrons. In all the 3 cases, 1 proton and 1 electron. Where there is a difference? Difference in the number of neutrons. Yes, that is the definition. Same number of electrons, same number of protons, but different number of neutrons. Yes, are you agreeing? Are you understanding the concept? Yes. Now, different number of what? Neutrons. 2 neutrons are present in case of tritium. And one more very important point you should note down here, that out of these 3, this is radioactive in nature. Radioactive in nature. You know the meaning of radioactive? It disintegrates itself. Spontaneous again disintegrate by liberating energy particles. By liberating energy particles like alpha, beta, gamma. And the particle emitted by this tritium is beta particle. It emits the beta particle, so it is radioactive in nature. On the surface of Earth, this deuterium, I didn't written 0.05%, approximately 0.05% exists in the nature. About this one, very less amount, 10 power minus 15 that is 0.000000, 14 zeros 1. That much amount of this radio tritium is present. I can say negligible amount of this tritium, because it is radioactive in nature. It spontaneously disintegrates. That's why. Okay. So then, with reference to the isotopes of hydrogen, what are the important concepts you should remember? One thing is the isotope with 0 neutrons is protium, and the radioactive isotope is tritium. This may be the question, calculate the number of neutrons. You can easily calculate. So, how many neutrons? 0. How many neutrons? 1. How many neutrons? 2. Which is the radioisotope? Tritium is the radioisotope. Which is the most abundant isotope of hydrogen? That is nothing but protium, because it exists up to 99.95%, almost 100%. Less than 1% is what? Deuterium. And very small amount is tritium. Okay? Yes. I hope you understood this isotopes of hydrogen as well as the occurrence of hydrogen. Isotopes of hydrogen and occurrence of hydrogen. So, after knowing this isotopes, we should know about the preparations. Methods of preparations. Methods of preparation of hydrogen. What are the different methods? So, in that, let us take up the first one, that is nothing but laboratory methods. Okay, so you should know that this hydrogen is very important element. Later on in the chapter, you are going to discuss if the control on the hydrogen is completed, or the extraction of energy from hydrogen in a proper way is under control, means there will be no energy crisis at all. That much useful this hydrogen is, and everyone can lead the luxurious life, because in the universe 70% hydrogen is there. We are not using that properly. If once we know how to use this hydrogen, how to store this hydrogen, then there will be no energy problem, and all of us can lead a luxurious life. Okay, so how that is later on, or at the end of this chapter, we are going to discuss. Okay, now what is laboratory method? So, laboratory method, in that the first one is by the action of dilute acids on metals. Okay, you can have the example when zinc is made to react with dilute sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4. What it will form? It will form zinc sulfate with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Or with the liberation of dihydrogen. One more important thing. So, these are the methods of preparation of dihydrogen. I had to write dihydrogen, because hydrogen exists in the form of dihydrogen. That is the thing. Okay, now. So, here you can see in the lab you can do this experiment. In the 10th, I think you have done these experiments also. Simply you have taken zinc granules, and to that if you pour the acid, you are going to get a hissing noise because of the liberation of what? Hydrogen gas. You should do with a care, because it may catch the fire also. Hydrogen may catch the fire. Right? So, that is the first method. Or else in the laboratory itself, so you can make to react this zinc or any of the metal you can take, that is if you make to react with the that is aqueous or you can say alkalis, like say for example sodium hydroxide, aqueous solution of this alkalis. If you make to react with the zinc, what they will form? They will form sodium zincate, ZnO2, sodium zincate, with the liberation of hydrogen, with the liberation of dihydrogen. Is it balanced? Yes, 2Na, Na2, Zn, okay. O2. What will be left? 2H, that we can write as H2. You can collect this dihydrogen. Right? This is one more method of preparation of dihydrogen in the laboratories. Likewise, you can prepare the hydrogen by the action of water or by the reaction of metals. Reaction of metals with water. With water. I can or we can study this one in 3 different headings. What is that? You can have, say for example, highly reactive metals. I will make this third one into 3 categories. Highly reactive metals like that is sodium, calcium, lithium, etc. They simply react with water. Na plus H2O gives rise to NaOH plus 2 plus H2. Just to balance hydrogen, this 2 plus 1, 3, here only 2 hydrogens. If I write 2H2, okay, 2H2, 2 2s are 4, 2 plus this one is 3, right? Then I have to write 2 here, then 2 here. Is it balanced? 2Na, 2Na, 2O, 2O, right? Then how many hydrogen? 2 2s are 4, 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, when you drop a piece of sodium metal into water, it will react with a hissing noise because there is a formation of sodium hydroxide with the liberation of hydrogen gas which may catch the fire. That is a very important reaction. Highly reactive metals just will react with the water with at ordinary temperature. No need to heat. Simply they are because they are highly reactive. Okay na? So, but less reactive elements or less reactive metals like you can have magnesium, okay, or you can have aluminium, or you can have zinc, anyone you can have. So, this zinc if I take for this one, less reactive. What is this category? Less reactive. This is highly reactive. Highly reactive. This less reactive metals like magnesium, aluminium and zinc. I am taking the example of zinc. So, it will react with water only when it is heated at a particular temperature. So, what it will form? It will form zinc oxide with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Make out the difference here. Here you are not heating, simply you are adding the metal or you are dropping the metal into water. So, it will form hydroxide with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Here what you are doing? You are dropping the metal into water and you are heating at a particular temperature. Then only it will form what? It is not forming hydroxide, it is forming what? Oxide, but it is liberating what? Hydrogen gas. Okay now? Yes, likewise you can have third category, that is C, that is very less reactive. Very less reactive. Metals like iron I can have. Okay, very less reactive metal like I can have the iron. So, it will react with the what? Steam. It will react with the steam. For that I have to represent G. What it will form? It will form Fe3O4 with the liberation of dihydrogen. Just to balance I will write here 4H2. 4H2, 4 to the 8, 3Fe, Fe3, 4O, O4. Okay, this process is called as Lane process, Lane's process. Note down this one. So, the process of preparing dihydrogen using iron and steam. This is steam. Then only I have to represent G at a particular temperature, at high temperature. Okay, so it will form what? That is a nearly temperature of 1073 Kelvin. 1073 Kelvin, and the presence of catalyst only iron reacts with water to form ferric oxide with the liberation of dihydrogen. One more, I think you are not getting it properly, just I will write here again. So, that is the third category of the reaction. Less reactive elements or metal like iron react with the what? water at a temperature of 1073 Kelvin, okay, and catalyst to form Fe3O4 plus 4H2. What do you call for this process? This is called as Lane's process. Lane's process. Okay, yes. So reaction with in the method of preparation of hydrogen by the reaction of metals with water, we had three: highly reactive, sodium, calcium, like that, and then less reactive, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, they will form oxides. Okay, here one more thing, it is also forming oxide, it is not forming hydroxide. Only with water at room temperature hydroxide you are going to get, but when it is heated at a lesser temperature or higher temperature, what you are going to get? Respective metal oxides you are going to get, but in all the things we are going to get the hydrogen. And one more important point I want to say here is about the this one, calcium. Okay, calcium hydride, that is called as hydrolith. Hydrolith, it is called as hydrolith. Okay, so when it is also one of the method is made to react with the water, so it will form into calcium hydroxide plus 2H2 hydrogen gas. So it is called as hydrolith. One of the important compound, that is calcium hydride, is called as hydrolith. So which also on reaction with water form what? Calcium hydroxide with the liberation of dihydrogen gas. So we can say that, so metals will react with water, either they will form hydroxides, highly reactive, they will form hydroxide, less reactive, and very less reactive metals will form oxides with the liberation of hydrogen at a suitable temperature. That is the different methods of preparation of hydrogen in the laboratory, as well as some of this last one, that is nothing but 1073 Kelvin commercial method of preparation of hydrogen. Likewise, we can have commercial methods, okay, that we are going to discuss in the next class.